to be left at that. Like you couldn't say Donald Trump in the cell without just mass chaos.
Really?
Yelling, people standing on tables.
Dang. That's crazy.
Especially because, there was people in there who were in a relationship with an illegal immigrant. So their opinion of, their opinion versus someone who's a Trump supporter, it would go on for hours, and nobody would come back to stop it.
That's crazy. In jail, see, people think, oh, well, they're just in there, and it's just, it is what it is. They're just in a little cell, and no, it's not like that at all. And it's dirty. It's like if the health department came in to Berrien County Jail, they would shut it down. They would say this is unsanitary. You can't make people sleep on the floor with no mat, with lettuce and food and feces everywhere. Like they would, this is cruel and unusual punishment. But people just kind of turn a blind eye to it. Oh, well, they shouldn't have done it. Oh, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. But you still shouldn't be treated in such poor conditions. And what people don't realize sometimes, too, is that jail, prison, that's a business. That it's not just some people that are just housing. No, it's a business. They make money. Taxpayers' money goes to run that jail. And say we just all quit doing drugs. They'd be screwed. They would start arresting people for the silliest things. Because they know they have to keep that jail open. The sheriff would lose his mind. He'd be like, well, we got to put some drugs on the street then. And I've heard of cases where drugs were planted. And, I mean, there's movies, TV shows, all kinds of stuff about that. And it's true because the sheriff's sitting there because he likes his job. He likes his big-ass house. And, look, guys, we're going to have to make some crimes, and just like a football team. When the defensive coach is like, we're going to take out their quarterback. $20,000 to whoever hurts him, breaks his leg, But it's the same thing. It really is that shady, and it's a business. And it's about money. Follow the money. It's the basic rule of anything.
They actually wanted to build. They had a vote while I was in jail for that county to build a new jail because the one they have is so small. It's filled with mildew, and at the same time, they're saying, well, we're cleaning up the streets. They're charging, small-time people with residue with a meth charge and sitting them in jail for 6 months. So the people of the county were like, we're not voting yes on this jail because you're supposedly cleaning up the streets as far as drugs go. And also because there wasn't like an itemized breakdown of what they were going to use all the money for.
Mm-hmm.
They want to implement all these programs, but they didn't have any programs in place there.
We'll figure it out as we go along. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They didn't offer any NA or AA. They had a substance abuse class that you had to be assessed and sign up for. And it was a 10-week class, 1 day a week. Sometimes the guy would show up.
Mm.
I graduated the program. I had a lot of time to wait, so...
But I'm not saying all police are bad either. I'm definitely not saying that. I like what the police do, and they're brave for what they're doing. But I'm just saying it can get that way. It can get shady from the sheriff, from the people that in the jails. I'm sure it was the same way where you were at. But there's that one correction officer, and somebody's in there like, oh yeah, that dude, yeah, he used to buy crack from me. Like, when's the last time you bought some crack? A couple weeks ago. I'm like, are you kidding me? No, he's probably high right now. I'm like.
Or they tell you that they were up all night the night before drinking.
Mm-hmm. It's like, wait a minute. Like, I don't know. It's a joke. It's not what people think it is. And it's time that people wake up and stop just letting things just go by. Just because it's not in your face every single day doesn't mean that it's not happening. It could happen to your grandchild. You don't even have a grandkid yet, but it could happen to them, and you don't want them to face that. I mean, let's deal with the problem. And the real problem is addiction, and people like myself not knowing how to face those problems and that addiction. So what I would always turn to was the alcohol, which clearly not healthy. It's not good for you, and that's not a good coping skill. But that's all I know. It's comfortable. When I'm feeling uncomfortable, that makes me comfortable. So it wasn't alcohol per se. I'm sure if you were feeling some kind of way and that's all you had, I'm sure you'd probably drink some. But you turned to what made you feel comfortable and could help you escape. And I think until we get to the root of that, and like if you really want to help somebody, just sit down and talk to them and tell them there's options. You know, if that grandson or granddaughter that I was talking about, if you even suspect, maybe you might want to have this talk before they even get too old and just sit them down and say, look, this is what drugs do to you, and here's why that you might turn to drugs one day. If that ever becomes that problem, you can talk to me about it, and we will get you help. I'm not going to think any less of you. This happens to people. Here's some addictions. You know, there's sex, there's gambling. I have an ice cream addiction right now. It's not healthy at all. Waiting for the governor of Michigan to ban ice cream. And there's so many different things that people can be addicted to, you know, alcohol, cigarettes, sleep. I don't know. But just to have that talk with them before. Have you thought about that with your girls? Like talking to them about it?
Yes, and we also talk about implementing counseling into their lives as early as possible, just so that they have a way to express their emotions and learn how to express their emotions. Because that's something that we struggle with, so we want them to be able to talk to us. And if they don't know how to talk to us, then they won't. So that's our first step. And
your parents, you know, there's no manual.
Right.
So maybe, and I'm not saying you are or aren't, but I know there are some parents that are not capable of having that conversation. So by taking them to a professional, that's a pretty good idea, actually. And what do you think about calling it something else besides, hey, we're going to counseling? Or you've talked about it, but you haven't done it yet, right?
We have not.
So what if you called it like, hey, we're going to go to Happy Time.
Or story time. The lady that I talked to about taking my daughter to counseling, she said that they read these stories and it helps the child see where they're at in the story. So story time.
Or story talk or something.
Mommy-daughter time, family time.
But if you pumped it up, I was talking with Nazareth about this earlier, like, it's all about how you say it. It's how you word it. It's how you set it up. You know, hey, we're going to go to story talk with Janine. She's awesome. You guys are going to love her. And then after, we'll go get some pizza, some ice cream. Because if you tell a kid, hey, we're going to counseling, there's something wrong with me. You know, and of course, this is a guy with no kids, just got a cat. But to me, that's how it would seem. It would seem like the kid would feel like, oh, there's something wrong with me. You know, and what you're just saying like, hey, no, we're just going to have. This is normal, and there's nothing wrong with it. You know, there's nothing wrong with your kids. You know, they have feelings, and to get it out, and that's a really good idea. Mm-hmm. And maybe if someone's listening, they could be like, "I want to do that with my kid. Do that." Yeah, let us know how that works out.
You never know when you're in your active addiction what kind of trauma you're putting your child through, and I didn't learn that until, at least a couple months into my treatment that. Sure. I'm affecting my child, I affected my child, and now I need to help her get through it now, or else I'll be paying for counseling for the rest of her life, which would be fine if it helps her express her feelings and be comfortable with herself.
Well, I mean, she could be having kids in like 5-6 years, right? Just kidding. Grandma. Grandma Kendra. I'm going to Grandma Kendra's house.
Definitely not.
Are you gonna have them call you a certain name? Meemaw. I had a girlfriend who was like, we call her Meemaw. I was like, what?
Maybe Granny.
Granny. Nazareth, what do you call your grandmother?
Grandma.
Grandma. Okay, me too.
See? I call them by grandma and then by their first name, like Grandma Mary, Grandma Betty.
So I did the last name. Grandma Tokars. That's the only one I had. I have Grandma Oshesky, too, but...
Oh, is that...
Grandma Winfield died.
Polish?
Oshesky, yeah.
Oh, Oshesky?
Mm-hmm. It's my... And I call him my stepdad, but I mean, he was really my dad. So
Yeah.
And I think I talked about this on one of the podcasts I did, where I don't, because when I introduced him to Ryan, I'm like, hey, here's my stepdad. But I think it's because I don't hold the dad title very high up. So I don't want to get it confused with, hey, here's my dad, when Ryan's like, oh, I thought your dad was a douche and doesn't talk to you. And where sometimes I think, well, I think I'm offending him. But I think he gets it, and he realizes, he knows what an impact he's had on my life in a positive way. So
the way that I look at it, too, is like he stepped in.
Yeah,
you know.
He did.
So he's your stepdad. He took on a role and obviously did a good job.
Well, I know he did a pretty all right job. He should be proud of himself. Thanks, Mike. Love you, man. But no, he is awesome, and I've heard him as well. But back to the grandma thing. So I think, what if you had him call you like Grandma Gadunk or Badunk or whatever? Grandma and Grandpa Booty Round booties.
Well, we do,
because Lenny's got a little
other,
booty on him. No,
but we do call each other, like, Lenny is boo boo butt, and I'm booty butt, and Michaela is baby butt.
Aw, Grandma Booty Butt.
You guys are a butt family.
Yeah, they're a butt family.
We are a butt family.
What's up, Lenny?
Thank you, Linda.
Wait, what was Lenny's name again?
Boo boo butt.
Oh, boo boo butt. Oh, next time I see you at Louis, I'm like, boo boo butt. Oh, Lenny. I mean, boo boo butt. We'll get you a t-shirt made up.
Call me boo boo butt. Yeah. That's how it all started.
Oh my god.
A friend of ours' nephew said she called him like by his first name, and he's like, just call me boo boo butt. And then all of a sudden it just stuck. And then he became boo boo butt.
Because boo boo is something that hurts, right? When you get a boo boo. So yes. Is he trying to tell you something, that he's got a hurt butt? How'd that happen?
Yogi's friend.
Boo boo bear.
Hey, boo boo.
Well, we call each other boo, so I think it started as like boo boo. I don't know.
He's your boo.
He's just boo boo butt. I don't really.
So you don't
know.
think? Did he ever go to prison?
No.
That's not funny. That's not funny. We're not making fun of that. Stuff happens, you know. I was just making sure, because I don't want to be like in the middle of the storm, like, hey, boo boo butt, and him break down. Because he's in recovery too.
That's what Big Ronnie used to call me.
Yeah. Shut up, little boo boo butt. You good? So 217 recovery. You were part of the foundation that was laid in Bear River, and when you went away, then God works in mysterious ways, like He really does. And like I kept thinking about you, just out of weird times, and I thought, man, you know what? I don't even know when the hell she's getting out. I don't know where she's at, but I gotta find out, and I'm gonna write her a letter and just let her know, hey, look, this is what we're doing. 217 is. We got a podcast, this is what I called it, and we're doing some pretty kick-ass things. And so I sent it, and it was weird because and I think like the day after I sent it, it was around 4th of July, I think. And Lenny, or Boo Boo Butt, hit me up on Facebook, and he's like, hey man, is it cool if Kendra sends you a letter? And I was like, what the fuck? Like, you gotta be kidding me, like, for real. Like, I just mailed her one yesterday. I was like, that is nuts. And I just thought that was just incredible. And that's how I know, like, when people are like, oh, God's not real, you can't see him. Well, okay, you can't see electricity. Some people say you can't see ghosts, but you can. And I don't know, there's just something out there, man. I'm not a big fan of religion, but I'm very spiritual. And like I said, there's something out there for sure. And it's bigger than me, it's bigger than you. And isn't it funny too, and you know this firsthand, that when you just keep doing the right thing, not every day is going to be perfect. You're going to get upset. You're going to get tired. But as long as you keep doing the right things, just great things just keep happening.
Wonderful things.
I mean, I don't know. Not that I'm getting teared up or anything, but Just saying. Yeah, passion, that's what it is.
I mean, even going to jail was,